Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 408. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Hey-o, hey-o, hey-o. Ha! Let's get it going today.
Feeling good. I'm running high off of Dunkin' iced coffee. No free ads, but Dunkin', if you're listening, please sponsor us.
That'd be dope. Much appreciated, Duncan. Thank you.
You're not an iced coffee guy, though, right?
I am an iced coffee guy.
But we found this out a year ago, that you had only been to Starbucks in your lifetime, maybe 3 times?
Correct. Then enter Paige, and we're there 3 times a week. So I feel like I'm a regular old American now.
Red-blooded American, addicted to the coffee.
Yeah. I had hot coffee this morning, though. A little Keurig action.
Can't get on board with that. I can't.
Really?
I just can't. So here's the thing.
It was nice, dude. I started reading a book, and I'm like, this morning I got up, Paige left for work. I'm like, I'm not ready to start my day. I started reading a book, sipping coffee. I'm like, what's happening?
Who am I? You're
I?
like 70 now, dude.
I know. It's pretty wild.
And you get up at 4 a.m. too, don't you? So
no. The sleep-in has been real, dude. Soon. That'd be nice. It's hard to get out of bed before 6:45 nowadays. It's the cold weather, I think, ish.
When people ask me, they're like, "Oh, are you like a coffee person? Can I get if we go over somewhere, they're like, can I get you some coffee?" I'm like, no, I'm not really a coffee person, but I'll have the occasional iced coffee. And they'll say, "Oh, what's that all about?" And I'm like, well, I just don't want to what's that?
Sugar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The biggest sweet tooth. No, but I tell them, I'm like, well, I don't want to get addicted. I don't want to get reliant on it, because you run into those people that are like, I can't start my day unless I have my coffee.
Yeah.
I'm like, but here's the thing though, dude. The frequency, the gaps in between my iced coffee runs now are fewer, it's smaller and smaller. So I really need to be careful. Otherwise this is going to be a daily thing. And I don't need that.
It is weird that caffeine is just not only legal, but shoved in our face every corner. It is super addictive, and our society is just like, no, it's all good. This isn't a drug.
I went down a rabbit hole the other day, sort of related. Yeah. I went down a rabbit hole the other day, and it was a conspiracy video, like a TikTok or something, on how sugar is manufactured to make us dumber. And it sounds crazy, but you do a little deep dive.
No, dude, it doesn't sound crazy to me. I'm fully on board with a lot of stuff lately. Conspiracies are starting to feel a little more real.
Hiding in plain sight, sugar is just the legal drug that they shove in our faces. Anyway, little baseball housekeeping before we get started. I was telling you just before we got on, I started a Facebook group. For those who don't know, believe it or not, Facebook is far and above our best platform. Not a lot of people know that. Because people just love to get on there and argue. But I started a Facebook group through our account, through our page. And I was thinking, it'll take a minute or two to get going or whatever. Within 24 hours, we're almost at 900 people already. So just a little plug for you, or for those of you who have a Facebook and are listening. It's basically just a little group I put together. Looking at it right now. It's called Today in Baseball. It's pinned on our page at the top. You'll see it. Just a little group. I wanted to get some baseball people together and, chat baseball. People are already dropping in pictures of their memorabilia collections, the stadiums they went to last year. I love it. I thought I'd have to get the wheels turning a little bit myself, but it's already self-sufficient. So hop on in there if you're on Facebook. Let's go. And get rolling with that. One last thing. I just wanted to put a note out there, a little preview, that I am pumped to do our deep dive into Rickey Henderson's as part of our Unbreakable Records mini series. At the end of this episode, dude, I'm just a little teaser. I'm amped.
I love that. Like it's gonna, I think, have people like, what is that real? Like, how is this really a record? Like, how is that number really out there?
I've got
people forget, man. People forget.
I forgot some of the stuff I didn't even know.
Yeah, I like it.
It'll put some things into perspective that'll have your head spinning. So stick around for that. We'll get to that at the end of the episode. But leading us off here, the newest number 2 in the rotation for your New York Yankees. We alluded to it last episode. We said that it was close, that he was likely going to end up with one of our 2 ball clubs, and we were exactly right on that. I think
a couple hours later.
Yep. Yeah. It was announced. It was official today, actually. I don't know why it took a number of days, but it was announced today that he is officially with the club. So Marcus Stroman, you are a New York Yankee. Nate, thoughts?
Emotional fan reaction. I don't love it. I've never been a Stroman guy personally. It's a lot of me. I don't know, dude. Just like, I just want winners. You know what I mean? Like, I just want selfless winners. As a Yankees fan, like, that's all I'm hoping for. I don't know. As far as like a baseball monetary move, I think it's not that bad. 2 years, 37 mil. There's a clause for a player option in 2026 if he crosses over the 140 innings pitched in 2025. So there's like incentive for health and longevity. It's not breaking the bank. I feel a lot better about this if they go finish with another move for the rotation.
I would agree. To add a little perspective to that vesting option to reach 140 innings in 2025, he threw 136 and 2/3 last season and 138 and 2/3 in 2022. But I
put in averages 144.
The career. He's reached 140, I believe, 4 times in his career. So that's certainly within reach for Stroman.
It's in there. He is 32. I totally forgot when I was looking up numbers. I forgot that he took off 2020, the COVID year. Not that it's like that's a ton of bullets being used, but kind of shave a half a year off of this. It's just the health. I mean, I think it's the health that kind of worries me the most. It's the great first half last year, horrible second half last year. Makes me nervous. I don't have him slotted at 2. But like looking at the rotation,
he's got to be 2.
It feels like Garrett Cole, and then there's like a group of number 3 and 4 starters. There is no 2.
Absolutely. But of those 3 and 4 starters, Stroman has to be your number 2. Rodon has not shown you that he's capable of giving you that consistency.
I have Nestor at 2, but like I don't know, man. Maybe 2021 or 2022 rather was just a fluke. I don't know about that. Clark Schmidt running out at 5, so he's not in the mix. So it's like, Stroman's that 3, 4. It's weird, dude. The Yankees are weird. They give like, there's like a seniority thing outside of like superstars signing. Like, you're not fitting into like this high leverage spot. Soto is an exception, right? Like you're Soto, so we're going to throw you in the middle of the lineup. But like, they have this weird, that's why they were out on Yamamoto. Yamamoto wanted more money than what Garrett Cole has. And the Yankees are like, we don't see it. Sorry. So like, there's this weird, like, it's not like nostalgia or legacy, but it is kind of like this pecking order that they have. You have to earn your pinstripes. That's a thing. We hear it every year.
So based on what you're telling me, if Brett Gardner expressed interest in returning as the starting left fielder, could he slot right in given the years that he's accumulated as a Yankee?
No, probably not. But
tip of the cap to
that. But there is that thing though. There is like this.
I agree.
They struggle to like let old guys go because they've earned their right to be there. And so like we saw it with CC, we saw it with Brett Gardner. We've seen it for years of like just leaving guys in their role because they've earned the right to it. And on the other side of the spectrum, you're not here yet. You haven't proven anything yet. So therefore you haven't earned your stripes and you're not in that spot. So I would guess 3 or 4 in the rotation, but I don't really care. There needs to be one more addition. I think every team should at least have 6 bona fide starters. At least. That should be the minimum.
Who do you think is within reason right now for a potential additional starter? Like, is it safe to say they're out on Snell? Because I'm just trying to think of a scenario where they slot somebody in ahead of. If they going with my rotation, I mean, you obviously have him in a different spot, but say he slots in at number 2, I have a hard time picturing anybody outside of Snell that they would slot in ahead of Stroman.
Maybe I would probably put Jordan Montgomery above him. It's just I don't know if they burn that bridge. He seems like he's more desiring to go back to Texas.
Wasn't it the didn't I see the report recently where it said he would rather stay with Texas over returning to was it the Yankees that I saw?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So he's got that working against you, but
but I mean if that's the case, then you're looking at 3 righties, 3 lefties. If you're going 6. So and then outside of like free agents, I don't know. I mean, there's still the trade market. It's just about finding somebody you can go get. But I don't want it to end with Stroman. I don't think that's like the chef's kiss. You know what I mean? Like we definitely need a little more help there. So please don't let that be the highlight of the offseason as far as signings.
I can't wait. I may have already said this, but I can't wait to see
texted me this.
How he responds I'm not even talking about Devers. I'm talking about I can't wait to see how he and the old Bronx faithful get along after his first poor outing, and they're letting him hear it on Twitter. The few people that remain that haven't been blocked yet, of course.
Sure.
But I'm curious to see how that goes because he has a track record of it not going well.
He's from New York, so
which is another thing.
Kind of gets it. He's like the little bit of the attitude. I think that's probably the only way, because like if to survive in New York, you either have to be the guy that like gives the perfect answer. Your heartbeat stays this.
The Jeter.
Or
you're the guy that claps back.
Or you're David Wells. You're super emotional. Love me or hate me, but I'm going to be me. I'm going to say my words. Take it or leave it. And then you get the Yankee faithful on your side. I think he would be better going that route. Just be like, hey, here's me. I've got my swagger. I've got my attitude. You Yankee fans are the same way I am. Let's be boys. Just don't come in here and try to act like Aaron Judge. Don't suddenly turn and change your characteristics that make you what you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Spare me on the whole grew up a Yankees fan thing. It's all that's how it's been his whole career. It's about fitting the narrative.
Yeah.
When he was with the Mets, all you saw was pictures of him as a kid.
Yeah.
Decked out in Mets gear.
Yeah, I don't need that. I'm all good.
And now it's, look at the pictures of young little Marcus Stroman rocking the Yankees gear.
I don't need that.
Just pitch, dude. I don't stop trying to convince me that you're like this lifelong Yankees guy. You very well may be, but stick with that narrative. Like, let that be the picture that circulates. Don't try to play to each fan base the way you do. I'm all for trying to like pander a little bit when you get there, but this guy's all about pandering. And then when it goes south, then it's, well, the fan base is racist, or I hate that city. The front office sucks. They mismanaged me as an asset. Just nailed it. That's his whole career. So
pretty much.
I don't see it changing anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe the pinstripes will.
Did you see the post that he put out like on his story? Said he's excited to put on, and he put in all caps, the pinstripes. Obviously, Cubs wear pinstripes, so maybe that was like a little bit of like a jab. I
don't understand what you have.
There's always like this
burning a bridge.
That's what I'm saying. There's always like this underlying like jab. It's strange. It's strange. I'm not a fan of the guy, but if you come here and do well, you come here and do well. So whatever. I did see he only gave up 9 home runs last year. So
he's just got to stay. He's got to stay healthy. Like I said, especially with, and you know far better than I do, but with Rodon and some other scenarios of guys not being able to provide that consistency, he just has to stay healthy, and he's got to give you those starts, those innings that you so desperately need, that any team desperately needs. Like, you need guys that you can rely on, especially if they're front end guys. Yeah. And if he does slot in it too, then there's going to be a little bit of added pressure there for him. So
go get Snow. I'm happy. On that point.
I could see it happening at this point, because I think a couple teams that were maybe in on Snell initially have fallen out of it at this point. Yeah, I thought he would have signed by now, but
so did I. I agree.
He's a Boris guy, right?
Sure.
I think he's a Boris guy, so he's probably just waiting it out.
Please hold.
As Boris guys tend to do. But yeah, I could see him. I haven't heard much on the Mariners front, which could, I don't know. I could lean either way on that. But at this point, the Yankees have shown they're not afraid to make a move. So I could very well see that being the place Snell ends up. Which in that scenario drops Stroman 3. Snell would slot into, Stroman would be 3. You'd have Rodon at 4. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you scoot everyone down,
Clark's the odd man out in that case.
Yeah,
correct?
But I got no problem with easing some guys in.
Sure,
just going 6-man rotation for a little bit. Give Cole his typical schedule. Let other guys do what they need to do.
Speaking of starters and bullpens and schedules, Jordan Hicks apparently is a starter now for the San Francisco Giants after signing a 4-year, $44 million contract. They said the plan is to convert him from the pen to a starter. He's got a little bit of time on the bump as a starter, I believe, in the minors, and then he started for the Cards for a handful of games and has some experience opening as well. Not necessarily the same, but he has been handed the ball to open a game before, so it's not groundbreaking for him in that regard, but we shall see. The Giants have taken an interesting approach to their pitching this offseason, if I do say so myself. Getting a guy from the pen, converting him to a starter. You go out and get Robbie Ray, who we've already talked about, but is coming off of injury, surgery, and you're going to have to wait him out till at least the All-Star break. Is that what we said?
At least.
So I don't know. I mean, rather than going and getting just a guy who's healthy and can give you innings and is not necessarily an experiment, they're like, no, we're going to do quite the opposite. We're going to go get a guy who we need to wait out to the All-Star break, and we're going to go get a reliever who throws Ched that we know won't be sustainable over the course of 6, 7, possibly 8 innings, but we're gonna work
I was
on
waiting
it anyway.
I was waiting to see where you fell on that. What side of the fence you fell on? I agree.
I mean,
This is weird.
I
It's just weird.
I mean, the contract itself is not.
No, I don't think the money's bad.
For the bids that they've made, this is a fraction of what they. So I mean, to get a guy who
upside. I mean, there's a ceiling there.
Sure, and he's had success. I'm all about it. I just don't know, given the state of your rotation as it stands, because if you think about it, Logan Webb is your only real solidified guy. Everything else is either an experiment or a question mark or unproven.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're dealing with.
What does the rest
Giants
of that rotation look like? I saw 8 starts in 2022, by the way, which I'm assuming were all opens technically.
You've got friend of the pod, Ross Stripling's in there. Robbie Ray, as I mentioned, but you got to wait on him. Alex Cobb is also out to start the season. Not for the whole season, I don't believe, just to start. You got some prospects in there, Kyle Harrison, Keaton Wynn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, comparatively, we're talking about the Yankees rotation having some question marks.
Definitely some question marks here.
I would much rather be in the Yankees boat than
the
Giants boat, because those question marks are far greater.
Yeah. I'm looking at this whole roster. It's just so weird. It's just a weird roster. Chill out on the outfielders. These guys aren't tradable. Like, you can't trade JD Davis. He did nothing last year. You can't trade Wilmer Flores, Conforto, Yaz.
I thought. I mean, maybe not over the course of the whole season, but didn't JD have a spurt last year where he kind of went off?
But I thought he was unhealthy for most of the year, wasn't he?
Am I thinking of last year?
Outside of Tyro Estrada, I'm like, everybody should be up for grabs. Outside of him and Patrick Bailey.
He had a little bit of a run last year, JD.
Make a move. Do something.
That's the thing, though. We talked about this. They try and they try and they try again.
Trade.
And
they never trade. They just bank on like one superstar signing to fix everything, and then you swing and miss on every superstar. It's just it's strange. It's weird. Try something different. Do something new. Stop signing veteran outfielders and then appease your fan base by saying, well, we went after him. He just didn't agree to the contract. What?
Assuming this chart, you're right on all of those things, by the way.
Thanks.
But I'm looking at this chart, and because in my head I'm like, why do I feel like in my gut that the Giants have made an effort to shift away from their geriatric roster that they held on to for so long? And assuming this chart is correct, it does not appear as though they're in the upper tier. They're middle of the pack now. Yeah, they're middle of the pack. ESPN has them at 14 average age, sitting at 27.3. Let me double check. Got a second opinion here. So it's not, when you talk about them not wanting to trade, it's not that they're necessarily not willing to trade so that they can rely on 1 or 2 superstars and then a bunch of 40-year-olds. It used to be that, but I think they've shifted away from that and are now trying to produce some homegrown talent, bring guys up through the system. And maybe with that shift, maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet, but maybe there's going to be a shift in philosophy and maybe some trades start to happen. I think they're running out of time given what's left in the conversation, if you will, the names that are being kind of floated around. I mean, you could make a trade at any point. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the teams are going to float their guys out there, such as like a Dylan Cease. And you've already seen what happened with Dylan Cease. They floated him out there, didn't really like the return, so they're pulling him back most likely and are going to ride it out till at least the deadline. So if you're the Giants and you want to make something happen, you need to make it happen somewhat soon.
I don't see the wild card being an option for them. Obviously, the division isn't an option for them. So it's like, why are you still sticking with these older players? I'd rather just bring guys up, give them more experience, see what you got. You got blockades all over the place. Your outfield, your corner infield. You finally got to move on from Brandon Crawford, and nothing against Brandon Crawford, but it's like, you know what you're getting. Like, you know what you're getting out of these guys, and it's not an 85-win team. Just don't see it. So bring up some youth, figure out what you're doing. I don't know. Just doesn't get me fired up.
You haven't been fired up about the Giants in a long time, ever.
They're sneaking into Brewer territory for me.
And
that's dangerous.
If you're the Giants and you're listening, you don't want to be there. you don't want to get on Nate's Brewer side.
Dangerous waters.
Forget bad side. You don't want to be on his Brewer side. The Braves extend Alex Anthopoulos through the 2031 season.
Duh.
I hate it. I love it, but I hate it. That's it. That's the best way I can put it.
If you're not a Brave fan, you hate it because you're jealous.
That's really what we're dealing
it's all
with.
It is.
Just at its core, jealousy.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude's a genius.
I don't get how he does it. And I make this joke all the time, but I'm really starting to think that there's truly some like black magic. I don't know what it is. It doesn't make sense how he's able to pull off such team-friendly deals. And the point that I've made with this all along is that, sure, you could maybe get one or two guys on the whole, hey, like this is for the future. If you'll work with us, we can guarantee you rings years to come. You won't be able to get your bag that maybe you'd get elsewhere, but we're taking a risk on you. You take a risk on us, and let's do it for the movement. You could get a couple guys on that, but you can't convince me that every one of these guys that has signed such a team-friendly deal is on board with that. It doesn't make sense. Because some of these guys are going to go, I'm good. I'm passing on your quote-unquote movement, and I want to get my money. But every offseason, it seems now for the last however many years, it's, they signed this guy for a bag of chips for 12 years. I don't know how it happens, but good for the Braves for going and locking down their guy.
He's just a wizard. He's just a wizard. I don't know. There's no other way to say it. He's creative with moving money around, and it's not just the contracts. It's not just the extensions. It's the moves he makes in the maneuvering around, making it make sense. He's like genuinely maximizing payroll and roster and longevity. And it helps that you got to give the Braves organization equal credit because you developed, your cornerstones. You developed some of these guys and you struck gold on them being super, super talented, and you beat them to the punch when it comes to extensions. So Like it's kind of a full circle. It's just a perfect storm. It's gone all Braves way. And then you drop in a couple vets that are like willing to win, and boom. All of a sudden you're a problem for a decade.
Exactly. And you bring up a good point about maximizing productivity. I think the thing that the Braves do so well, as opposed to a team just recently that comes to mind, like the Padres, they're getting these guys, they're signing them to long-term deals, but they're maximizing the right years for these guys. They're not getting these guys in their late, they're not running these guys out to their late 30s into their early 40s.
Yes.
They're getting these guys just at the right time. You're getting the right number of years. And if you want to keep them around or extend them at a certain point, a handful of years into the contract, so be it. But at least for the time being up front, you're getting these guys for the best years that they're more than likely going to give you, which
they're not hoarding prospects either. Which is
the
obviously
resources they have are just off the charts, man. That's crazy.
That's a pet peeve for both of us. The prospect hoarding. Move along. You got a superstar in that position. Move all your prospects that are playing that position and continue to fill out the big league roster. They're doing it right, dude. The guy's a genius, and it's a no-brainer. Did we see what the money was worth?
I don't. Does it matter? Become public? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it matters.
Watch it. It's like an ownership stake or something. It's like $500 and then a 3% revenue.
I'll take $1.
Yeah.
It'd be wildly ironic if it was for just Boku bucks.
Is it Boku or Buku?
Buku? I thought it was Boku. Is it Buku? Buku bucks? I don't know if this stuff becomes public.
What do you think a Boku is? Or a Buku?
Is it Boku or Buku?
Are you looking it up?
I am looking it up. Definition of Boku means many or a lot. I mean, I could have guessed that.
Can I get like the Google pronunciation?
It's a play. Well, I don't have that pulled up, but it does say it's a play on the French word Boku. Beaucoup.
What does that mean? French bucks.
Many or a lot.
How come we don't use it more than just bucks? We don't say like, I've got Buku cookies in my cookie jar.
Yeah, Buku bucks just rolls off the tongue.
Sure does.
Buku. I don't know. Boku. I like Boku. It says BOKU. Boku. Anyway, you know who has Boku bucks but chooses not to spend any of them? The Boston Red Sox. And they, Craig Breslow came out recently and just dropped a bombshell. I'd say a bombshell. I mean, I think you could have seen this coming from a mile away, given the way the offseason's been going. But it just hurts to hear it because, you know, like as a fan of the team, you're holding out hope. Like, okay, we get rid of Heim, we bring in Craig Breslow, and you know, you've got Tom Werner saying this team is going full throttle this offseason. Post Craig Breslow edition. You bring him in, you got, as I said, Tom Werner coming in and say, we're going full throttle. They haven't gone full throttle. I don't even know if they've started the car. But you had Craig Breslow, I think he had an interview with the Globe or something the other day, and his quote was as follows. As I've gotten to know this organization better through the conversations I've had with ownership, they absolutely are still supportive of assembling a World Series team as quickly as we possibly can. But I think the reality is that it's going to require a step forward from the young position players. It's going to require the build out of a talent pipeline of arms that we can acquire, we draft, and we can develop internally. And it's going to require aggressive player development in the minor leagues and the major leagues. So guys that we think are the next wave, Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, that group are not just big leaguers, but impact big leaguers. The convergence of all of those pieces is the fastest path to a World Series team. We want to build this thing in a way that there's just not quality once in a while, but there's quality paired with consistency. In other words, we're waiting it out for this young wave of talent that's coming up in a number of years. And
in other words, yeah, we're going to enjoy last place until 2026.
In other words, go sit in the corner, Red Sox fans, and suck on your thumbs because we're doing nothing.
In other words, don't say that you're going full throttle this offseason.
You would think that would be the way to go as a front office who has little self-awareness. I'm not surprised that they put their foot in their mouth this way, but you would think, knowing that this was the plan all along, that you wouldn't say full throttle. At the very least, just don't say anything at all and let this come out naturally, and people are still going to be disappointed. But it wouldn't have been following a quote such as saying we're going full throttle only for fans to be let down when they realize we're punting until maybe 2026.
Tough,
just an absolute joke, dude.
Tough. It's real tough. I think one of the Verdugo quotes in the Yankee presser was, he was like, it was kind of strange to see Fenway half empty. Like, you're never used to that. Hasn't been that way in a long time.
There's been a movement on Twitter or on social altogether, I guess, that people they're fed up, dude. There's a lot of people that are saying they're not going to Fenway next year, which, I mean, it's going to sell out. So many people, including myself, are like, it's a tourist attraction. Like, people are going to show up, and they know that. That's the thing that's frustrating. It's like, it's really hard with this franchise more than others to prove a point financially. Yeah. Like, you can't stick it to them because
it's a bucket list thing. It's a bucket list place for baseball fans.
Exactly. People are going to show up and people are going to spend money. People are like, people were clamoring for fans to like bring hot dogs from home. I'm like, okay, that's a bit too far. I'm not putting hot dogs in my pocket. One, because I'd have no way of heating them up. And two, if you're coming from out of town, that means you're going to have to stop on a street corner, pick them up, bring them in. It's just a mess. You don't have the ability to do all that.
A lot going on.
A lot of moving parts. But yeah, man, honestly, and I was hoping maybe you could just walk me through it real quick to help me get my feet on the ground. I really don't know how to feel about this year because I told you that I was going to be in a much better place this year.
I do remember that
with this team because I just wanted Heim gone. Although I will acknowledge that I think with everything that's come out, especially this quote, we're realizing that Heim, I think, was scapegoated a little bit more than people gave credit for. Frankly, I just still wanted him gone. I just needed a new, even if he was handcuffed a little bit or a lot, I needed something fresh to work with because I just got tired of reading the headlines of inabilities to make trades and so on and so forth. So I needed something new. And to bring in a former player, I was like, all right, he's gonna be new at this, but let's roll with this. Let's ride. And it's been a relatively slow off season, but I just don't know with these comments, I don't know how to feel about this upcoming season. Like,
are you saying that you are somewhat forgiving Heim Bloom in a way?
A little bit. I mean, I'll hand up. I'll acknowledge that, like, I was probably, knowing what we know now, I was probably a little hard on. But like I said, you still, in his position, you have the ability. He wasn't new to a front office when he got here. So like, even if you're handcuffed financially, go out and make a trade. But you heard about all these agents talking about like, why is Heim Bloom treating the Red Sox like a small market team? Like, why does he get cold feet on trades? Why does he never want to lose a trade? You have to be willing to take risks to lose a trade every once in a while if it means making a move to shake things up a little bit to possibly improve your team. Who knows? He didn't do that. So I put that on him.
All right, let's do this then. This will help me figure out where you're at. I want you to rank these Blooms. Okay. You got Heim Bloom. You got Orlando Bloom, and then you got the Bloomin' Onion from Outback. Rank those, and that'll tell me where we're at mentally.
I'll be completely honest. I don't even remember what Orlando Bloom was in. I know Orlando
Pirates
Bloom,
of the Caribbean.
No, that's not. Yes, he is in Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think Orlando Bloom, I think Johnny Depp, weirdly enough. So
probably because of Pirates of the Caribbean, I think. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying sometimes I get them mixed up.
Sure.
I'd go Bloom and Onion, Orlando Bloom, Heim Bloom.
Bloom and Onion at the top.
Yeah.
100%. Slaps. Severely underrated.
So that's where I'm at right now.
Outback is slept on, in my opinion. That's fair. That makes me understand that you somewhat forgive him, but like not that much.
That's fair. That's where we're at. And I just don't know. Like I knew this was like at the start of the offseason or post Craig Breslow hiring. I knew that this was still a possibility. Like I knew that there was a possibility they weren't going to do much. I was hopeful that they'd pull this trigger on some moves, but I didn't know just quite how to feel about it. But I felt generally that I was in a better position than last. I was in a much better position than I was last year because I had no interest in following that team last year the way I had years prior. But with this now, it's like, all right, so you're just telling me it's more the same. It's another last place finish for possibly the next 2 years, maybe even beyond that. If what you're telling me about 2026 is a joke, like, and people are saying, well, it's just spoiled Red Sox. Yeah, yes and no. Like, I don't care how recently they won a World Series. Like, no fan should be accepting of their ownership group just being like, yeah, we're gonna punt when you have the resources to be better than you currently are, which they do, but they choose not to, so that they can pocket the money. I don't know what they're doing, but I don't know. Should I feel better, or should I feel?
I think by the end of May, you need to tell me who's going to have a better record at the end of the year, the Mets or the Red Sox. By the end of May, I need an answer by that point.
That's a valid question because I'm kind of putting them in the same boat right now because we talk about it all the time, multiple times since that story leaked. But it's like you got the Mets saying, we're good. Red Sox saying, we're good. We'll see you in a year or two.
Best case scenario, you have an excellent start from Lucas Giolito in the first half of the year and you flip them and you get some names, for the future.
I guess, but like, I'm going to support the Red Sox. I'm going to support the players. That's not the issue. I always do.
I think it's more important you find the right team in the NL that you'd like to.
Well, I already have that. It's
D-backs again or?
No, not the D-backs. That was just a team that Phillies. I thought was going to make a little bit of noise. Yeah, it's Phillies.
Yeah.
How do I want to like strategically boycott though? Like, do I just not buy officially licensed team gear? Like, because I saw some people being on there like, hey, still support the team. Like in the replies, they're like, still support the team, but just buy used gear or buy like knockoff gear. That's
you do kind of scavenge through some eBay
marketplace. Mercari.
You do very good in that category. So
I'm in that life, man.
I don't hate that.
Maybe that's the route I take.
Probably.
I don't know if I make it up to Boston this year. So at least I won't be putting money in their pockets that way. We'll see.
Yeah. They don't come to DC, right? So your only hope is Baltimore.
Last year. Yeah. And I went to the games in DC and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. It was not enjoyable.
Think you know where you stand then. No. I won't even get to the point of talking noise to you this year.
I just want a year where we can go back and forth.
Seriously, where we're both freaking good and
we're hurting each other's feelings to the point where like we're debating on whether or not we should record an episode because we're still a little salty.
Yes, I miss those days.
That was a good place. 2018, ironically, our first year of doing this, that was peak for that.
I know.
That was since.
It's embarrassing ever since.
2021, a little bit of that, the wild card game you and I went to, and the playoff run, a little bit of that, but we need 2018 back. Kind of wrapping things up here before we get into the Rickey Henderson segment. Dusty Baker returning to the Giants as a special assistant. So this will be his third stint with the team. As many of you know, he managed for 26 years. He managed the Giants specifically from 93 to 2002. And then came back as an advisor, I believe, in 18 and 19. So as I said, this will be his third stint with the team. I'm all about it, man. I'm glad Dusty's sticking around.
I guess. I don't know what this advisor role means anymore. No. Every team does it. It's like a PR stunt. Show me some proof in the pudding that they're involved in a specific project. Show me how they're helping. Otherwise, this is just clicks. I'm over it. I'm over a team saying we signed this guy as a special assistant. I don't know what that means. Unless you're an assistant GM, I don't want to hear about you hiring an assistant anything. You're not important. So, love you, Dusty. Welcome back, I guess. You were gone for 5 minutes. Hope you enjoyed retirement. I don't know what any of this means. But the Giants still suck. So, you want raw, there's raw.
I'm all about it. Additionally, Sean Doolittle hired, just kind of closing the book here. Boy. Sean Doolittle hired by the Nationals as a pitching strategist. You want to
copy and paste my last statement? I don't know what.
Control C, Control V. You talk about clicks, and I'm not saying he's not going to have any impact on the team, but the Nationals very well know how much that fan base loves Sean Doolittle, and for good reason. He's like a part of that culture, man. He's all about it in DC. They love him.
He is entirely irrelevant to any other fan base. This news means nothing to me. If you're a Nats fan, I hope you.
They love it, dude. They're eating it up, and that's what I'm saying. These clicks, they're
the only positive thing I can say. The only cool thing I can say about this is former players recently removed from playing being included in front office analytical / hey, dude, like, let's ease up on the analytics and let me talk to you about actual stuff.
Like what goes into it. But let me ask you this. I know just about as much as you do probably in this regard, but wouldn't you say a pitching strategist would be in the pen on game days as opposed to a front office role?
You think?
Yeah, maybe he's like shadowing the pitching coach or something like that, right?
Bullpen coach?
Or the bullpen coach, yeah.
I doubt it. Strategist, I think, to me, is probably more in like the player development side of things.
You think? Okay. Yeah. Well, then you're right, man. I mean, maybe.
And that's cool. I'm not hating on that.
You want proof in the pudding of a project. I mean, I think there's a very direct line of communication from him to the people up in the box of saying like, hey, like you said, let's dial it back on this. Let's crank it up on this.
Yeah. I will say I am a sucker for players that had longevity in the league, but weren't necessarily superstars.
Yeah.
When they give back to the game in some way, I'm a sucker for that.
Because those are the guys that had to grind to stick around.
Exactly.
Like they know the game up, down, left, right, inside, and out. These superstars, I'm not saying they don't know the game, but if it comes that easily, if it comes that naturally,
they can't teach it.
Yeah, not to say you didn't put in the work to get there, but if it comes to you easily and naturally, you maybe don't have the same level of appreciation for the grind as a guy like Sean Doolittle.
Yeah.
I 1000% on board with you on that.
All right.
I'm a huge fan of that.
Outside of that, Nationals suck. Raw.
Future could be bright. Gotta make some moves there. Kendall Graveman, last note for closing the book here. It was announced this week that he will miss the 2024 season after having shoulder surgery. And I think that I read the report that said it's not necessarily impacting the Astros' approach to relief pitching with the free agent market and or trades. So,
nor should it. Kendall Graveman gets no one fired up. He's done okay.
Yeah.
Good year or two, but like I don't think it's anything to bank on. Did we like see news on this? Did it happen during like a bullpen? Why are we hearing about guys getting surgeries this late in the off season? Like figure this out in November.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like save yourself at least 2 or 3 months and have the hope that if your team's in good shape, you can come back for September.
Sure.
It's just weird. Like it's happening more and more often, I think, too. Just random surgeries coming at random times. So unless it's like hey, I was just throwing a pen for my first time back after 6 weeks off, and now I tore something like that, you get, no control over. But
yeah,
I don't know. Get your surgeries done sooner.
Or just recover from them in like 60 days like Harper did. And
perfect.
And then all will be good. All right.
Here it is. This is what you've been waiting for.
I'm so amped for this, dude. So many nuggets on Rickey Henderson's career stolen bases record. It's insane.
All right. So for those, a 10 piece or a 20 piece?
What's that?
You said nuggets. How many nuggets you got?
20 pieces. One for later. Rickey Henderson, 1,406 stolen bases in his career. Now, zoom out a little bit before we deep dive into this. A little background on his career for those who don't know. And I'll be quite honest with you. I don't think I appreciated Rickey Henderson's career as much as I do now, having looked at the numbers and coming to the realization that he is more of a multi-dimensional player than I think he gets credit for. Because I think when you hear Rickey Henderson, you think, I mean, the guy's nickname was Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Like literal STEAL.
Yeah.
And you have to zoom out a little bit and go, this guy could hit. This guy could hold his own at the plate. But for his career, Hall of Famer, obviously, MVP winner, 10-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, a Gold Glover, and a 3-time Silver Slugger. His career numbers, he had a career WAR of 111.2. He accumulated 10,961 ABs, had 3,055 hits, 297 homers. He had a career average of 279, drove in 1,115 runs, and as I mentioned, stole 1,406 bases for his career. His MVP career, looking specifically at the 1990 season, he had 65 stolen bases, which led the American League. He hit 325, had an OBP of 439, which led all of baseball, and led all of baseball with an OPS of 1.016, and had an OPS plus of 189.
Yeah, I feel like people just kind of like
they just gloss over
it.
They
kind of think of like he's like a Billy Hamilton or something. All you were built for was speed, but like, nah, dude.
Exactly.
5-tool.
So diving into this record, he finished this is insane. So I put out a post the other day talking about the just looking at the perspective of this record.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I find it. He spent more time of his career being the all-time leader in steals than not. Which is insane.
Say it out loud one more time.
He spent more time in his career as the all-time leader in steals than not.
So he broke the record and held that record for
He
longer.
played for more time.
What?
Than, are you kidding me? Like, think about think of like the home run records or win.
You have that
win
for
records. Like
a year.
You're pushing 40 to get to a record for something like that. This guy, Rickey Henderson, finished his 1990 season, which was his MVP season, and was his 11th season at the major league level. He finished that year two steals shy of Lou Brock's record of 938. And it took Lou Brock 19 seasons to do that. Rickey Henderson was too short after his 11th year.
That's different, dude.
I'm sorry, but of the
really
records
different.
that we're doing, and I know I say this every new record that we break down, but I'm starting to think that this, like, nobody is touching this record. Nobody.
No.
And you want to know why? If a player stole 50 bases a season for 28 years, Rickey Henderson would still have more steals. 50 bags a season for 28 years. That means, okay, let's put this in perspective. Say you come up at 20 and you're not exactly like the fastest guy, but you're known for stealing bags.
Mm-hmm.
If you stole 50 bags through your 40 year, you'd be 48 years old and you'd still be short.
That's insane.
I don't understand.
So hard to digest.
I don't understand. Let's see. Some other nuggets here. Rickey Henderson, I don't remember the article that I pulled this from, so forgive me for lacking credit here, but it said Rickey Henderson nearly ran a marathon in his career just stealing bases. His 1,406 steals at 90 feet between bases adds up to 126,540 feet, or 23.97 miles, just over two shy of a marathon.
Dang,
Marathon
dude.
is 26.2.
Yeah.
He stole 23.97 miles worth of bags.
What?
You want
dude?
some more nuggets? I got more nuggets. Rickey stole 100 bases 3 times in his career. 100 in 1980, 130 in 82, and 108 in 83.
130?
130, which, by the way, is a single season steal record. Ty Cobb in the modern era had set the record with 96 in 1915, which was then broken in 1962 by Maury Willis with 104, which was then broken by Lou Brock in 1974 with 118. So Rickey Henderson's 130 steals in a season is the all-time record for a single season.
No. We're praising guys for 30.
Like, this guy could be a 40-40 guy. Rickey Henderson did the 40 times 3.
Yeah.
Times 3 and then some. 130 bags in a season.
It almost hit 300 home runs in his career.
That's what I'm saying.
Over
dude.
3,000 hits.
Over 3,000 hit, 3,000, what'd I say, 55, 297 home runs. So it wasn't just his ability to run. Like, sure, that plays a massive role when you're talking about all-time career steals. But it was his ability to get on base, whether it was the hit or his ability to see pitches. I've got a note here, only Barry Bonds had more walks than Rickey Henderson in a big league career. But Rickey Henderson has the most all-time unintentional walks. Obviously, we know Barry's story.
Yeah.
Intentionally walked with the bases loaded, yada, yada, yada. Got one of the most feared of his time. Yeah. But Rickey Henderson, unintentional walks, all-time leader.
Maybe, dude. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna lean towards no, but like the rule, I genuinely feel like these rule changes and like this MLB PA hope to get guys up younger, mixed in with like really pushing offensive numbers, making sure the game is getting to this point. You could see big records being broken 15, 20 years down the road. I could see it. This one, I don't see this one. I don't see this one. I really don't.
So, aside from the fact that he stole, obviously, many bags during the prime of his career, I think that something that's lost on a lot of people is how his ability to steal bags, like even at the very end of his career. Like he stole, I think it said the last time he stole at least 60 bases, he was 39 years old.
Yeah.
After turning 40, his next 3 yearly stolen base totals were 37, 36, and 25. The only player ever with multiple 30 steal seasons at age 40 or older.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I looked at his age 40 season with the Mets. He played 121 games, hit .315, had 37 bags, OPS of 889, and an OPS plus of 128 at age 40.
Dude just did not fizzle at all. Whew.
Unless the bags get moved to 55 feet, I don't see it happening.
Even then, dude, this is like the all-time scoring title, like pre and post 3-point line. You know what I mean? That's how we're going to view these rule changes.
Sure, yeah.
It's going to be like, what were these records before rules were implemented to help? You ain't touching this. Nobody's touching this.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think all of the records that we're diving into this offseason are unbreakable, but I mean, this one's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I think at the end we need to do like our own ranking, our own power ranking.
Possibly. I like that.
Of degree of unbreakable, because
I like that.
What did I say? 28 years of 50 bags and you're still not touching them? Insane. Ain't
happening.
Well, that's all I got. Wanted to just do, like I said, a little deep dive into that. I hope you enjoyed it. Is there anything I missed? I think that's about it.
It's about it. We're getting there, dude. It's slowly easing back into stuff happening. I can feel it. I can feel like a once a week signing happening right now. Stuff needs to get going, dude. Like we're more than halfway through January. Like, time to make some moves. Certain teams, like, there's still a lot of names out there. Still a lot of stuff going on. Like, let's go. We got to start having conversations about fantasy baseball again soon.
We absolutely do. I mean, we're under a month until pitchers and catchers report. So these teams need to give their new acquisitions a chance to get comfy, get set up, get settled in with their new digs. So let's get it going. Let's make these moves happen, and let's get to some baseball.
Yeah, I like it. Good stuff, old chap. I'm all done. Don't go chasing curveballs.
Love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.